In fact, it's not even about who you know. And it's not even about who knows you. But the truth is, who likes you and who's willing to go to war for you. Now, people are telling me to hide the chat. Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. I know for a fact somebody in here is recording, so you'll be able to see it on YouTube to recap. But I want you guys to be focused. Ignore the chat, ignore the conversations. There's going to be a lot of distractions in your life. This is just another one. So when it comes to e-commerce, there's hundreds of billions of dollars a year being transacted, right? Hundreds of billions of dollars. The problem is you haven't seen a single dollar of it. Therefore, you do not believe that it's real. So I have to bring these individuals, these glitches in the system to show you guys that it's possible. Now, these guys have nothing to gain. They're doing it because they're part of Capital Club. That's it, right? They're doing it because they're part of my network. They're part of our organization. And what I've come to realize is that if you want to level up, you need to understand that the people in your network are going to be the ones that give you the data sets to get to the next level in your career. It's very simple. You know, one of my mentors, who's now, I appointed him as CEO of Capital Club, and he joined me on this venture, Steve Tan, who's done $200 million in e-commerce. Back in the day, he showed me $111,000 day, right? And that was when I was worth maybe like $1 million. And I saw the $111,000 day, and it completely shattered, right, my preconceived notion as to what was possible and what was real. So when I convey a message like, you know what, making $5 million in a day is doable, it might shatter, or it might go against the programming that has been set up before you were born to keep you a slave, to keep you dumbed down, to keep you limited. But as a man thinketh, so is he. So the question is, how do you reformat your thinking? Because I see you guys, you know, a lot of you guys joining these communities where people make $50,000 a month, $60,000 a month, $100,000 a month. And I understand that that may be the next level for you. But what if you could just skip that level and get to the next one? Because it's possible. Now, if you want to make $1 million, you best begin surrounding yourself with people that make $1 million. If you want to make $10 million, you best surround yourself with people making $10 million. Because you are, like I said on a story yesterday, you are a cumulative of the people that you surround yourself with. So the question is, who do you surround yourself with? Because as false as it may seem, the people that you surround yourself with are a direct reflection as to who you are as an individual. So look at the people that you're surrounding yourself with and ask yourself, candidly, with sincerity and honesty, are these people a reflection of me? And to most of you, the answer is yes. So as I realized this, I said, you know what? I need to intentionally surround myself with people that are at the next level. So how do I put myself in these rooms? How do I put myself in these situations? Well, you have to provide value. Well, Luke, how do I provide value? You have to study individuals the same way that you study markets. Write this down if you're taking notes. You have to study individuals the same way that you study markets. Every person, regardless of their age, their income, their net worth, their race, their religion, every single person has a need. Every single one of them. The question is, are you able to identify it and provide that value and fulfill that need before somebody else does? And trust me, guys, many times this need is not financial. So for example, I have these guys coming that I'm going to be interviewing tomorrow that are here in Hong Kong doing $100 million a year in e-commerce. Guys, $100 million. You do not find these guys on the internet posting shit on YouTube. You understand what I mean? You don't find them doing that. They're secretive. Why? Because their career path is completely different. So I placed myself in the situation realizing that, hey, you know what? Maybe monetary gain isn't what these people want. I live in Puerto Rico, as most of you guys know. And, I converse, I've had conversations with a few billionaires there, many people that are into the 9-figure realm, many. And you coming in wearing a designer shirt, wearing a Rolex, wearing a pair of Louis Vuitton shoes, it doesn't impress them. It's bullshit. These guys are walking in $15 Havaianas and a wife beater tank top, and you wouldn't even know the amount of money and the amount of markets that these guys move. But maybe they want to increase their lifespan, right? Maybe to them what is important is having friends that don't ask for money, sitting down and smoking a cigar, or hanging out, or finding people that are loyal to them. So you need to be able to identify these situations and understand how to play your cards right. So as I unlock these data sets, I'm trying to convey these to you in real time. Because it's extremely important for you to understand that if you want to surround yourself with winners, you have to become a winner. You have to become a winner. You watch my YouTube videos. Every person that you see on my YouTube videos, I have directly provided value to these people in a way that was massively important to them, requesting nothing in return. Nothing. Every single one of them. My network, Capital Club, is comprised of people who I've poured myself out to in different ways, given them access to different deals, given them access to different opportunities, depending on who they are, what their needs are. And I've been building this network and curating it. So much so that when I say, CC23, that's happening in Spain, is coming, right? That's the elite Capital Club event that gets together every single year. 100 entrepreneurs pay me $15,000 each to come in 8 hours. In 8 hours. So do the math. 100 times 15,000, do the math. How is this possible? Well, because they understand that the network has value. So let me ask you, does your network have value? Or does it not? Because inflation is rampant. Everybody here should at least at this point understand that money's not going to keep you safe. Yes, money is going to provide for your needs right now. But this idea of fiat currency is an experiment. That's what you need to understand. When you begin to study money in its current form, fiat, is an experiment. It has never been tested before to this manner. And every time where there was the dilution of the purchasing power of a currency, empires imploded. Let me give you a story. Rome, as it approached its end, they began minting coins in gold and in silver. And as it became harder for them to, pillage gold or find gold supplies or take over different kingdoms to find new gold, or taxes weren't being paid, somebody out there had the clever idea of diluting the gold with either iron ore or some cheap metal. And as the dilution continued, these gold coins ended up being like 0.1% gold and 99.9% iron ore or one of these cheap metals, to the point where Rome collapsed. It collapsed. So you need to be able to be a student of history to understand that just like the seasons happen, the world has cycles, ebbs and flows. And if you understand these ebbs and flows, you can prepare yourself. So people are like, Luke, you got lucky when you dumped your entire net worth into crypto in 2020. I said, I wasn't lucky. The Fed literally said that they were buying assets and dumping trillions of dollars of bullshit liquidity into the market, which, if you look at history, means what? The markets pump. So yeah, maybe I could have invested into Meta or Amazon, but the market caps were super high. So I said, you know what? Let me go to a market cap that is extremely low. When I dumped my entire net worth into crypto, the entire crypto market, hear me, ladies and gentlemen, the entire crypto market had a $250 billion market cap. The entire market, right? So when people say, Luke, you got lucky. No, there is no such thing as luck. There's only probabilities. So when you understand how to position yourself and you have a network that teaches you how to think and gives you opportunities to prepare yourself, well then you increase your probabilities of success. The peasant is the one that thinks that circumstances just happen. But when you are an intelligent individual, you realize that circumstances are created by people. But you're not in those boardrooms. You're not in those meetings. You're not in those decision-making operations. Therefore, you assume that people have the same level of intellect, the same level of willpower and laziness and lack of motivation that you do. But in reality, there are some bad motherfuckers out there. There are some real ambitious people ready to take over the game. It's been happening since the beginning of man, since the dawn of time. Napoleon Bonaparte, self-declared Emperor of France by the age of 27. Alexander the Great wept at the age of, in his early 30s, because he had conquered the entire known world. There was nothing left to conquer. Yet you're here in your late 20s and your 30s jerking off, assuming that everything else in the world operates by the same limitations as you. So you need to rewire your mind. You need to rewire your operating system. And nobody's going to tell you this. Nobody is going to be in a situation where they are going to be willing to compromise their livelihood to tell you the truth. There's very few. There's very few. But I have nothing to lose, really. My financial state is secure whether I open up my mouth or not at this point. So it's interesting, I started opening up my mouth recently about some things. A lot of you guys were asking about East Palestine, Ohio. As soon as I get back, I post that vlog. I have my bank accounts frozen, right? My bank accounts get frozen. Money gets frozen, not just frozen, it gets deleted, right? It gets deleted. And then as I do an investigation, the government pulled that money, right? And well, it was just a mistake, right? It ended up just being a mistake. Oops, and then the money just showed up again. And then some of my apps also got banned. Some of my cards got banned. My ability to process with some credit cards got banned. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what happened. So when people are asking for updates, that there's other situations that are at hand beyond making another YouTube video. So please be conscientious. So then I was like, okay, maybe Bitcoin is the solution. But then you begin to study Bitcoin and the history of Bitcoin. You're like, shit. Like, maybe Bitcoin was created by the NSA, right? Maybe there is a backdoor to Bitcoin. Bitcoin isn't as private as people think. So if money's not secure and crypto's full of scams, which we know, look at FTX. I lost money in FTX. I lost money in Celsius. A lot of you guys lost a ton of money. I have buddies that lost $10 million, $15 million on FTX. And as you guys listened to my conversation, I don't know if you did or not, my data set with the formal head of the Central Bank of Albania, where I had a conversation with him and I asked him, is crypto money? Is Bitcoin money? Not crypto, but Bitcoin is Bitcoin money. He said, well, ultimately, yes, Bitcoin is money, but Bitcoin follows the policies of the central bank, because where the fuck is this liquidity going to come from, right? This liquidity doesn't just come from anywhere. It directly comes from the policies of the central banks. So as much as we like to believe that Bitcoin is sovereign, it is still tied to the dictatorship of the few. So if money is not safe, if freedom of speech is not safe, if the school system is programming you, then what is it that you have left? Two things. You have two things, ladies and gentlemen. And these are the two things you need to focus on. Hear me out. Write these two things down and focus your entire natural life developing these two things. Ready? Write this down. Number one, inflation-proof skills. You need to develop skill sets that are resistant to inflation or stagnation or a recession or a depression, in fact. So what are some skills that you can develop that are going to allow you to be in a situation where you are protected? Because if your confidence lies anywhere outside of your skill set, per se, in the marketplace, then you're fucked. Because right now, a lot of you guys have a lot of trust in the fiat system because you've been conditioned to trust the fiat system. When you look at the dollar bill and it says, "In God we trust," who's this God? Who is this God? It ain't the God of the Bible. I can tell you that for sure. You understand? The money is the God. So your trust is in the money and the God that they've created, that you worship, that you spend your entire life chasing. So when people come to me and say, "Oh, Luke, you just got rich off of crypto." Brother, I don't give a fuck how I got rich. Do you hear me? I got rich and I got out. That's the goal. So you need to develop skill sets that are inflation resistant. Your ability to sell, your ability to create, your ability to network. What do I mean by create? Create is being able to take two different things, and you can't technically create something, right? The word create comes from a term known as ex nihilo, which is something out of nothing. So technically we can't create anything. We just reform things, energy, right? Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only be transformed. We know this is one of the laws of thermodynamics. So how do you take energy and reformat these things? Your ability to think critically and logically. Guys, ask yourself, why the fuck? Like, I know we have people from all over the world, but everybody has like constitutions, right? Everybody has their constitutions. Why the fuck has nobody taught you your Bill of Rights? Why do you think they didn't teach you the Constitution of the United States in the school? They didn't teach you these things. Why? Because they only taught you enough to make you feel like you're educated, but in fact, they led you astray. Because fucking studying the rocks and shit, sure, it may be cool for a few people, but for most people, it's not going to make a difference. Studying the clouds and studying all this stuff, like, okay, sure, it may be interesting for some of you guys. That's fine. But teach me how to balance a fucking checkbook. Teach me what the fuck are taxes. Some of you guys are in your 30s, in your late 20s. You've yet to sit down and read your Bill of Rights. So when people ask me, "Luke, what are you reading?" Dude, I'm reading the dictionary. I'm trying to understand what the terms and definitions are of things. I'm studying the Bill of Rights. I'm reading the Constitution. Oh, Luke, that's stupid. That's crazy. Sometimes you have to be crazy in a world that is extremely normal. The crazy ones are then in the future revered as geniuses. Leonardo da Vinci, at a given time, he was considered a freak. considered a genius by very few. But he famously said, Leonardo da Vinci famously said, to develop a complete mind, study the art of science and study the science of art. Learn how to see. Realize that everything connects to everything else. So when this genius says, to develop a complete mind, you need to realize that things connect to each other, and that what you do in a certain area of life applies to every other area of life. Why did nobody ever teach you about health? Who the fuck came up with the food pyramid, telling you that starches and grains were the most essential and healthy part of your diet, yet everybody here is dying? They told you that the was healthy. Now people are dying left, right, and center. I can't even mention it. I'll probably get blacklisted again. You understand? But I don't give a fuck anymore. So let's just be real. Anyways, the first thing is you need to develop inflation-proof skills. How do you network with people? How do you sell? How do you communicate? How do you perceive that which cannot be seen with the common eye? How do you develop a complete mind? A complete mind isn't only focused on money. You understand? If you're so one-dimensional, you're never going to win at life.